guys, and welcome back to another episode of Pickles and Vodka, the unfiltered mental health podcast dedicated to talking about the things no one wants to talk about in real life. My name's Christina, your host, and I know I'm recording this intro a little bit earlier than usual. Normally I record them Sunday evening before releasing the new episode, but today is Wednesday, August 4th? I don't even fucking know. August 5th, wow. It's the 5th of August. I just had my first therapy appointment in a while. And I don't know, I thought I would talk about it while it's still fresh in my mind before getting into this week's episode. By the way, great episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. I interview my old college RA. Her name's Key. And we talk about, oh my God, a whole bunch of things, namely spiritual abuse. We both grew up religious. We went to a religious college. And so, as you can imagine, we have gone through a lot of shit and are very different people than we used to be. Our values have changed a lot. And Key is just the perfect person to talk about this. Like, I have so much respect for her. She's just so wise and funny, and I can't wait for you guys to hear. But yeah, my own therapy experience in the last 6 months. For those who don't know, I have not been seeing a therapist since I was hospitalized last year for my alcohol use. The reason why is that I moved and it was too far away, and I don't know, I just kind of never made it happen. Since COVID hit, I have tried 2 different therapists, and neither of them really worked out past the initial session. So this is my 3rd try, and I like this woman a lot. I think it's going to go well. We basically just talked about why I was seeking therapy, and I mean, you guys know that I have my issues. I got my toolbox of disorders and emotional trauma. But I don't know, one thing I really want to practice moving forward is mindfulness and self-compassion. Those are the 2 big things that I want to work on. Self-compassion is pretty obvious. Just learning to treat myself like I would a good friend who's going through a hard time. Learning to forgive myself and not hating myself every second of every day. That would be nice. But the mindfulness part, I think mindfulness is used a lot. And a lot of people, when they think of it, they think like meditation, which I've tried. I don't really think it's for me. But the way I describe mindfulness is just being able to sit in my emotions as they happen and acknowledge them and not try to squash them down or run away from them, but rather just be mindful of them. For lack of a better term. I move so quickly through life, and I think just learning to slow down and focus on the here and now is going to be a really important part of my recovery. So yeah, being more mindful and just continuing to process why I am the way I am, continuing to delve into childhood issues and unpacking all the things that are just ingrained in my being that should not be there. I mean, at certain points in time, I'm sure they served me well, but now is definitely the time to say goodbye to some of these coping mechanisms. I cannot say that to save my life. It's going to be hard because I've lived my whole life with these things, and now that they're causing me more harm than good, it's time to reevaluate, and it's going to be scary, but I'm really happy to have found this therapist, and I think it's going to be good. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is something that happened to me this past weekend. I went to my first socially distant party for the first time since all this stuff went down. I went with my boyfriend, and I met a lot of his friends. We floated on a lake, and then we went back and hung out in someone's backyard. And It was fun, but I found myself experiencing a lot of anxiety and just physical exhaustion that I haven't experienced in a long time. I like to think of myself as a social person. I love making new friends and talking to people, but I don't know. It kind of came out of the blue, and I realized that it was the first time I had really met anyone new since COVID hit. Like, since then, I've just been mostly hanging out with people I know in my circle, and I guess I wasn't expecting it. And in the moment, I felt really guilty and, like I said, anxious. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just hang out with these cool people and have fun? Why am I trapped in my own head? And in the moment, I felt those feelings, and I tried to ground myself by just focusing on what was happening there and now. Like, I am sitting in a floaty on the lake. It's beautiful out. I have sparkling water in my hand. There's music playing. Over there's children splashing. That person is wearing a pink swimsuit. Stuff like that. And it did help. But ultimately, I think what helped the most was just letting myself feel those things and not judging them. Like, it's okay to have negative thoughts and feelings. It happens to everyone. And the following day, I woke up and I felt pretty good. I was like, you know what? I went and I did the thing and I talked to the people, and sure, I might have felt some unpleasant emotions, but I did it. And now I am glad that I did it. And I feel like moving forward, the next time I am in that kind of situation, I can be a little more prepared, like that mindfulness exercise I just described. Maybe make sure I'm well rested and have some caffeine before the next time. But yeah, I just wanted to share about that because I know a lot of us are going to be moving into similar situations maybe now that restrictions are starting to ease up. Well, in some places. Obviously, stay at home when you can, wear your fucking mask, try to limit your social excursions. But with that said, we all have social needs, and it's really important for your mental health to see other people. And so use common sense, be cautious. But if you do find yourself in a social situation and you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, just remember it's okay to feel that way, and try not to beat yourself up for feeling that way. With that said, I guess I'll jump right into the episode. You guys can follow Pickles and Vodka Podcast on Instagram at Pickles and Vodka Podcast. I'm on Facebook. Not a lot going on there, but if you're inclined, you can like my page. If you want to be a guest on the show, I would be happy to have you and hear your mental health experiences with no judgment. We can sit around for an hour and just shoot the shit. So you can email me, picklesandvodkapodcast@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram. That works too. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your week, and here is my interview with Key.
Hey!
Oh my god, we did it! I was like, wait, is she calling me? Oh shit!
I went to check on my yams and I came back and I was like, oh, it's a missed call.
Oh my god, wait, you're making yams?
Yes.
How do you prepare them? Because I live and breathe yams, but I call them sweet potatoes. Is there a difference?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, there isn't. I don't know why I said yams. I always say something. So I just boil them and then I put butter and a little bit of sugar in them, and that's it.
Oh, you can't go wrong with yams. It's got everything you need. This episode is about yams now.
That's all I do.
Right? Same. How are you? It's been such a long time. How long has it been?
Jeez, 9 years?
Fuck, we're old.
Yeah.
We met under really weird circumstances, too. It seems like another lifetime ago.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like I was a different person then, but also I
Absolutely.
love that we've stayed in touch and that we've both changed a lot. I mean, I
Right.
don't want to assume anything about you, but from what you've told me, like, you don't seem like a lot of the people that we went to college with.
Right. I'm a completely different person. And
um,
it all just happened within like 3 to 4 years ago.
well, better late than never.
Right, right.
Will you introduce yourself for the listeners?
Yeah. To everyone, my name is Keyunti Richard, but everyone just calls me Key. I'm from Louisiana, from the dirty South. And I met Christina uh, at Oral Roberts.
Should we say what the name, or should we just say like a Christian school? I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna be smited down if I say that name.
I know, right? I'm still that way. I'm like, do I really want to tell people where I went to college? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't even graduate from there. You did.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
that been like? Do people even care when they find out?
It depends on the age. So if they're older, they're fascinated by it, and they love it because they grew up with the tent revivals, and they remember like the times with Oral Roberts. So a lot of them, especially I will say at least 60 and up,
Hmm.
think it's just the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean that's my
But
dad. He's an alumni or alumnus. I don't know.
right,
Obviously, I went to college.
right.
So you went. Which years were you? How many years were you there?
I was there 4 years from the fall of 2007 till spring of 11.
Okay, that's
Yeah, I
right.
made it all
You.
4 years.
I feel like we should talk a little more about it. I mean, this is happening now. We're just gonna go right into it.
Oh gosh.
Like
I
I don't even know how to explain it to people who haven't experienced it. Like especially now that I live in a more like I live in the Pacific Northwest, everyone's more liberal here and
right,
no one knows what Oral Roberts is. So
right.
like I don't even know how to describe it to people who are listening and might not know.
Oh man. It's 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 like a church camp on steroids.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean that sounds about right. But you're
I,
paying, out the ass for
oh,
it.
like $30,000 a
I
year.
am still paying off debt from there, and I
Oh
didn't even
yeah.
graduate. I only went 2 years.
Oh
It's ridiculous.
yeah. We were paying $30,000 with so many restrictions.
Oh yeah, curfew at 1:30 a.m. Were you there when the curfew was different for women than it was for men?
Oh, I don't think so. I
Because it
don't
used to
think
be
I
an hour
was.
earlier for women, but they changed it. I want to say in the last
Maybe.
2 decades, pretty
Okay.
recently, relatively recently.
I know I was there when it used to be 12:30, and then it bumped up to 1:30.
Man, we got into a lot of mischief before 1:30. Let me tell you. I mean, I don't know if I should tell you. I mean, you were an RA, so that's
Oh,
how we know
I
each
don't
other.
care.
That's how
I
we know
don't
each
care.
other. Key was my RA. I remember walking into the dorm, and I was scared because it was my first time away from home. And you came up and gave me the best hug I've ever had in my entire life. You just made me feel so at home. And like honestly, I still compare all other hugs to your hugs.
Oh,
You're
that
like
makes
the
me feel
best. You're the
good.
best hugger ever. But
Oh
yeah, that's
man.
how we know each other.
Yeah, that was my senior year. And so most of my girls were freshmen, so I did really feel like the mama bear of the group. Uh,
Totally.
but I tried to be the RA that was not into your business. Like
Well,
I
that's the
tried
best
my
kind.
best, and if you had something you needed, you could come to me. But I'm not about to be scooping around and
Right?
hiding behind bushes trying to catch you doing stuff.
I had
That's
a few of those.
oh wow. let's just say I never won any best RA awards.
Well, you were there for us. We had some messy hoes on our floor.
We did. We did.
I mean, as a messy hoe, we had some real winners. I can only
Yeah.
imagine what you had to deal with. But the fact is, like, we were different people back then. I feel like I never got to know like the real you.
Right. Right.
So it's really cool to catch up now and just get to talk to you for an hour.
Right.
Because
And
we have so many views in common now that you'll talk
absolutely.
about.
I look back over my life and I think I'm 31 years old, and for like the first time, I actually feel like I'm making my own decisions.
That's
I'm
amazing.
control, right? I'm controlling my own thoughts. I'm making decisions for myself that's not based on my religion or my family. Uh,
Oh my god, I'm
so
gonna tear up. This is like so emotional.
like it's amazing, but it's also scary at the same time.
Of course.
Um, but I lived in that Christian bubble or whatever people want to call it for so long. I didn't even realize how close minded I was, how judgmental I was, how prideful I was. So,
Yeah. And it's a work in progress, right? Like breaking out of
right,
that. I also can relate to those traits you just mentioned, and I feel like every day I have to fight it. Like it's
right.
just ingrained in you. But we're jumping ahead a little bit. So you graduated in 2011.
Yes.
And so what did you do after that? Walk me through your
So,
life.
oh Jesus. So after that, I stayed in the fucking bubble. I started working at a church.
It's the thing to do.
Right. So I started working at a church in Shreveport, and
What was your degree in?
it was in management information systems. So it's pretty much, I'm a computer nerd.
Nice.
So started working at the church, super involved in ministry, and end up just getting backstabbed. um,
Then what?
oh, I definitely got backstabbed, got
Mm.
stabbed in the back by someone that was very close to me. That was a pastor. Oh, he was very manipulative, very controlling. So I pretty much left that ministry and started working in IT at an auto mall. But I was still very involved in church. So I was kind of doing both. And I've been in IT now for 7 years, but kind of got away from the church scene just because so much was happening. It always just seemed like there was no one I can trust. And I
Mm.
just always felt super used. So,
Oh my god, there's so much to unpack there.
yeah.
When did you start having doubts about the church? Like what I mean, I know you had that incident with the pastor. Would you say that was the catalyst that sort of started nudging you out? Or had you been having
He,
doubts before?
so he was the first doubt. And then, when you, so I completely left that church and went to another one. And then I just started noticing the same traits in people and in leaders.
Mm.
And then the last church I went to which was a home church, because I moved back home because I got a job that was closer to my hometown. So I just stayed in my hometown and just drove an hour to work. And I
Mm.
started helping out there, and it was the same issues of just pastors wanting to control, manipulating people. And it just got to a place where it was just so unhealthy for me. And it was
Wow.
unhealthy for my family.
Did they know what you were going through?
Oh, absolutely, because my family, they were also involved in ministry as well. And they had always had issues with the church that we grew up in. So when I came home, I was actually just trying to help, but it turned out that the same issues come up. You're getting used. People are going behind your back.
How's your relationship with your family? I know your mom seems pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. My mom's really great.
I've seen her on
You know,
Facebook.
yeah, she's so funny, and my mom has, because she went through the whole church phase with me. She kind of left at the same time I did,
Oh,
but she's
wow.
still very much a Christian, still goes to church, but she's definitely relaxed a lot.
Hmm.
And she realizes that a lot of our theology that was based on control, and so she's also going through her own process as well. So it's really interesting to see. Like, my mom cusses now.
Oh, shit.
Right.
She's Breaking Bad over here.
Right, right. So she's just, you can tell she's a lot more freer than she's ever been. So I'm really proud of her because it's hard to change at that age.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I don't know any of my friends' parents that have done that. And that's so special that you're going through this change at the same time and you can support each other. Like, I've
Right,
never heard of that happening to anyone. She's really
right.
special.
Oh yeah, she's great, and I have a pretty small family, so um, we pretty much stick really close to each other, and we've had a lot of battles in the past 3 to 4 years, and
Well, it sounds like a lot has changed for you in the last 3 to 4 years.
oh, absolutely.
Okay, so you moved back to Shreveport and you were in the home church and you're slowly starting to doubt more and more. And it sounds like your mom was going through the same thing, had been
Right,
going through the same thing.
right.
So did
So
it just keep escalating?
it did, and then my Aunt Sherry, who was the secretary, ended up getting very sick. She had a stroke, and she had a heart attack. And also at the same time, my grandma was also in the hospital. So, being that there's only really four people in our family, that means that my mom and I really had to take up the load
Mm-hmm.
and just be there for both of them. So, while we're going through all that, we have church issues as well. They're not really being supportive.
I hate that. Like, that's literally
Yeah,
their job.
right. My mom, my family in general has donated thousands of dollars to that ministry, and they really didn't help financially either. And not saying they had to pay our bills or something, but
Right. But there's
at the
other things
same,
you can do to help, like especially if you're a church, a community like that. Like,
right,
if I have so many feelings about that.
right, and it just, instead of caring about my family, it was more of, why aren't you at church helping? We have Easter coming up. You should be here.
Piling on the guilt.
Right. And then it it just escalated so bad into our last conversation that I had with the pastor. Was pretty much, he was just like, I release you. And I took that as, oh, so you don't want me to come to church here anymore.
Wow.
So I just never went back. And so that really started my doubt and just changing the way I view God. I also lost a friend to suicide that summer,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
so that really definitely started like a lot of my questions. And once you have one question, you really just start to deconstruct all of them.
Totally.
Uh, so,
So
and that's
what did that look like for you, like deconstructing what you knew your whole life?
it started off with the afterlife. Um,
Because of your friend's suicide?
right. So I really, because you know how some evangelical Christians believe that anyone that commits suicide is going to hell.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Um, yeah. And so that brought up a lot of questions for me. And so I was just like, I need to figure this out because I don't know if I can believe in a God that sends people to hell.
Yeah.
And so I actually started reading Rob Bell's book, Love Wins, and it just completely changed everything for me. And
What's the book about? I've never read it. I've heard of it.
pretty much it's just about the afterlife and like how it started. He walks you through kind of like centuries of those beliefs, and it's a good book.
Nice.
It's so good. I was struggling. Like, I was dealing with depression, and I felt like I had lost everything. I had lost friends. You know, I finally was feeling like I kind of belonged, and then kind of getting outcast again. It was a big adjustment for me.
And you were going through a lot of adjustments in a very short span of time.
Right. And so that's how I started my deconstruction. And then that's also when I discovered that I was bisexual as well. So
just because things weren't difficult enough, you know, wanted to throw that in there.
We're just going to throw that in there. And I was already affirming, but I had no idea that I was, bisexual as well. So
when you say you were affirming, you mean you didn't judge people who lived that lifestyle?
Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of judgment. Where we went to school, it was a big thing in Oklahoma. I don't know if we said where it was.
Absolutely. I had no idea so many people were hiding their sexuality there.
Have you been on the Facebook group? There's like a Facebook group for people who went to our school who are now part of that community.
Yes, and I have.
It's amazing. Like, there are so many. And I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of repression in that world.
Absolutely.
So what did your awakening look like? Like, how did that start? Did you have any like hints growing up, or like, I don't know.
I didn't feel like I did. I've always been a tomboy, but maybe just religion and my beliefs kind of just
like smushed it.
Right, absolutely. And also I didn't really date either. Like I didn't date at all. I mean, I had crushes, but I didn't really date. I was just completely focused on Jesus.
As you do. Were your crushes on men and women?
Back then, it was only men. But now when I look back, I can see where I had crushes on women as well.
I mean, also, it's totally normal to, you only have crushes on one and then discover later, oh, hey,
right.
That's, I know you probably agree, but sexuality is such a spectrum.
Right.
And that's not something we were taught.
Absolutely. Not at all. Not at all. Like, I remember growing up and people that even appeared gay, they would get called out in church. They would have to be prayed for, and they got oil all over their faces and thinking that they're demon possessed. So,
oh yeah, didn't we have like a conversion pastor visit our school on Speak once? We had some crazy people visit.
Absolutely, we definitely did. Especially those last 2 years I was there. Definitely.
But we digress.
We did. So I found out because my best friend, he's gay, and we started going out to bars and stuff and just having a good time. That was like my first time actually going to bars.
Yeah, I mean, you have to sign an honor code there. Right. Not to drink, not to do drugs, not to have premarital sex, all this stuff. Not to I think it says not to swear on there too.
I think it does. I think it does.
I'd be
Not to
curious to
cheat.
see. I want to hunt down a freshman and be like, hey, send me a copy of your honor code. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what was that like going to bars for the first time as an adult? Like ever?
Oh, I loved it. I was just I was just like, wait, this is what people have been against forever?
Had you like drunk before?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I actually sneaked in alcohol as an RA.
Key!
Oh yeah,
Oh my God.
just one time, but I did.
Wow, that's so badass. So you started going out to bars?
Started going out to bars, and my best friends was friends with this girl, and I was like, oh, she's cute. And then we started hanging out more, and I was just like, wait a minute, I think I like her. And it was really just that simple for me.
You didn't have
Uh,
any like residual guilt or anything or inner
no,
turmoil?
none at all.
I mean, good.
Uh, it it was so natural for me, and I think for the first time, I was just like, oh, this is who I'm truly am without any influence from religion.
Wow.
And the only thing that scared me was telling my family and friends. And
Yeah.
that's what scared me the most. My family is very religious. We have several pastors in my family. Of course, I was in ministry as well.
Right.
So, I the thing I didn't want them to believe was that who I was before wasn't real.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Right. A lot of people, when you become a different person, that who you were in the past was not who you were. You were not being genuine,
Right.
and that you were a fake. No, I truly love Jesus.
Yeah.
I truly love ministry.
It served its purpose at that time in your life.
Right,
It was a
right,
vital rung on the ladder.
right. So I was never being fake. And so I think people think that once you change your sexuality, that everything that you used to be was just you putting on.
Yeah.
And that's not my story.
That's such an important message. Like I never thought about it before.
Right. I love ministry. I just don't like the hypocrisy in ministry.
Right.
I love ministry, but I just cannot be a part of a system that uses the Bible as a weapon.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that was my concern as well, and of course, losing friends was a big concern as well.
Yeah.
So it started off slow, just telling the people that were close to me and my best friends at first, and a couple of people from ORU as well, and I just took it one step at a time. I didn't do like a huge status update.
Right.
I was just making small steps to show people that I've changed.
What did those steps look like for you? Like how do you even begin to, crawl out of your old identity and when the new identity is it's so scary when you're in that kind of environment, like I'm really curious because I know a lot of people who are in a similar situation, that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of telling people,
Yeah.
they're afraid of being seen as fake or, whatever. So I think it's helpful to know like what small steps they can take to just kind of start
Right.
trying on that new identity.
Right, right. For me, it was more of telling my close friends and getting their support. And then it started off kind of moving outwards. And there's still some family members that don't know because right now I don't trust them to know.
Right. You're not
So
there
it's all
yet. Maybe you never will be there.
right,
Your
exactly.
priority is
So
protecting yourself now.
absolutely. So on Facebook, it's, sharing different opinions, different political statements. It's standing up for things that you might not have would have stand up for when you were a conservative Christian. It's just those small steps that people see. Oh, Key's not the same person she was.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming from an outsider's perspective, I started. I mean, we didn't know each other that well. Like I was a freshman, you were a senior, but we've been friends on Facebook, and I started noticing you post some stuff like differing opinions than most people we went to school with. Your political views. You've always been very outspoken about what you believe in, and at least that's the impression I get. Maybe you feel like you're going slow, but I don't know. I've always admired you as someone who speaks your mind.
I also didn't have a choice either because I went to the Women's March in 2016.
I
And
remember
so
that.
after everyone saw that I attended that, it kind of just blew up. And, my best friend works at the pharmacy in Walmart, and he was just like, there's people in Walmart talking about how you went to the Women's March.
No, this is in Louisiana?
Yes.
Is it a small town?
Yes, it's a very small town.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Were you just like petrified?
I really wasn't. At that time, I honestly just wanted to be happy
Yeah.
and to actually do something for myself.
So that was 4 years ago. How have you been since then? A lot is happening in the world.
Oh man, life's been a journey. Every year I start the new year and I'm like, oh, it's going to be great. And then it just never goes away.
I mean, yeah, the last year that I feel like 2016 was the last year for that. Every year since then has just been worse and worse.
Right.
Talk about, not being forced to be honest about your beliefs. I think this year in particular, everyone's true colors have come out.
Absolutely. Oh, so much. It's
How has your mental health been in the last 4 years? Let's go back to the root.
I think it's been up and down, honestly. But this year, I'm finding it exhausting to be positive.
Understandably so.
Yesterday, I just had to take a day where I just sat in my house and didn't think about anything. I was just like, I'm tired. Like, I just want to be here. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to talk to people. I just need to breathe for a moment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've realized in the past 4 years is that people suck.
That's going to be the name of the episode. People suck. Newsflash.
And it's so sad that you cannot trust people to do the right thing.
Yeah, so have you been continuing to find that outside of the church as well?
Absolutely. Not as much. I think the problem is in church, I had an expectation that people would do the right thing. But when I'm out of church, I think I have more grace for outside of the church system for some reason. I don't know, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
For me, I grew up being taught everyone was wicked and a sinner and deserved to go to hell, and we were saved from that,
Right.
or we were predestined to be saved, which is fucking crazy.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
but I don't know. I
Well,
guess I always just saw like the worst in people automatically. Like I assumed people were bad until they proved themselves differently. And even though I'm no longer in the church, I still kind of think like that.
Right.
I mean, is that something you can relate to?
Now, yes. Before, the old Key wanted to believe the best in everyone, wanted to give everyone a chance. But the new Key is not as trusting.
Would you say that's negative or a positive?
I think it's both. I definitely think there has to be a balance
Right.
with in who you trust and what you give the people and what you don't give the people. And I think one of the things that I had to change with my mindset was I have to see people for who they are, not for who I want them or wish they would be.
Wow.
And
how did you come to that conclusion? That's deep. Great advice.
Because looking at someone's potential when they're not there is dangerous. Like,
yeah, for you and for them, right?
Right. And I got to a point where I was just tired of getting shitted on.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's fair.
And I see warning signs, and I'm not going to, I'm like, oh, I see these warning signs. I see these red flags, which is an ORU term.
You want to give them mercy, though.
Right. And end up, I'm hurting myself.
Yeah.
And I just had to really switch that behavior. Like, so now if I see someone's being an asshole, I'm not trying to save them and get them to be nice. I'm just like,
bye.
Okay, you are right. You're an asshole. I'm leaving.
One of the biggest realizations I've had in the last year was that you can afford to be picky about your friends.
Absolutely.
Like you should be picky about the people you surround yourself with. So I think it's great that I think it is a positive that you are seeing people's true colors more easily.
Absolutely. I'm very picky about who I have in my space and who I let truly get to know me. And it's really hard to get in because I've been hurt so much. When you've had pastors that have used your weaknesses against you, and you start to become a person that doesn't trust people. And right now, I'm just trying to find a balance.
Well, that brings me to the other topic you wanted to talk about, which is therapy.
Right.
How long have you been in therapy?
I've been in therapy since maybe June. I started therapy after my best friend passed away last February. And you actually know her. She passed away last February.
Fuck.
Yeah. And
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Oh. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know she was struggling. I just knew you guys were super tight.
Christina, I don't know what happened.
So it came out of the blue?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck.
Yeah. We have no idea what happened.
Oh my god.
Which makes it even worse, you know?
Yeah. So many questions.
Right.
We'll never get the answer. And she was probably repressed just like the rest of us.
Right.
But she didn't talk about it. Was she pretty active in that community? Like the religious stuff?
She was, but she was starting to get out of it as well.
Okay. Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Right.
So
Uh,
I mean, I'm glad you started therapy though.
Absolutely.
Like,
Like I was not well.
yeah.
Like I
Had you been struggling with depression before? Sorry for interrupting.
oh no, definitely suffer from like seasonal depression. So uh
But
and it
nothing on
just
that level.
right, nothing on that level. Gosh, I couldn't sleep. I could eat because I'm an emotional eater, so I eat when I'm
Hmm.
happy and I'm sad.
Yeah.
But I couldn't sleep. I was just honestly, I was very like tormented. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. That's something that
right,
turns your world upside down and just changes you forever.
right, and I was dating at that time, and I just told her I was like, listen, I can't do this.
Wow.
I was like, right now, I'm a mess, and I think I tried to hide it for as long as I could. And then once it started affecting like my health, that's when I was like, okay, I gotta get some help for this. And that's when I started going to therapy to really get me to talk about grief because
Mm.
I obsess over death.
Really?
Um, yeah, even when I was younger, I did as well.
Mm.
Um, when I say obsessed over death, it's like I envision like funerals and like those emotions of people close to me dying and
Hmm.
uh, yeah, it sucks. So with passing, it kind of really just brought that back on,
Mm.
and but it was so excessive. Like I just did it all the time that I mean, I was so depressed. Like didn't honestly, I didn't want to go to work. Like I was
No.
late to work all the time. It really just
Did anyone in your family say anything or try to get you help?
no,
Because you said you were
but I
hiding it, but only.
right, I was trying to hide it, but after I started not being able to sleep, I did tell my mom. I was like, "Listen, I'm not doing well, and I think I'm going to get some help." And she was like, "Okay, that's what you need to do then." And
Mm.
she was very supportive, and I think she knew I was struggling. She
Yeah.
definitely knew I was struggling. And the sad thing is that my whole family was. My best friend, she would come here all the time, and we would all hang out together. So
Mm.
we all were grieving at the same time. My mom, considered her like a daughter, so
Yeah. Was that helpful for you to all grieve at the same time, or did you find it getting in the way of your own grieving process?
I grieved kind of late anyway. So I was fine with it because I think I was still processing everything. Not that I was processing much because I was honestly just depressed, but
Yeah.
uh, but I was fine with them grieving as well. I know how much my mom loved her, and I really was. My mom went to the funeral with me, and she was there for me every step of the way, and yeah.
So, when did you start seeing your therapist?
I started seeing her around June
Of last year?
of last year,
Okay.
right? And so, honestly, therapy has been life changing for me. There's so many things that I didn't notice about myself that actually comes out of just from a third party, I'll say.
Yeah.
Because your family, your friends, they love you. They're not really going to tell you what's wrong, especially for me. Like, it's hard for people for some reason to kind of stand up to me. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, the people who love you the most aren't usually going to call you out on your bullshit.
Right. So she's been able to call out my bullshit, and she's just like, why are you so secretive? one of the things that we're really working through has been the spiritual abuse that I've gone through with my church. And she's just like, she was the first person that actually said to me, you were spiritually abused. And like, that was the first time I ever heard that. And it was kind of like validation that I wasn't overreacting to the things that had happened to me.
Yes, a million times yes. Like, it's so empowering when you put a name to it and you call it what it is. And it's I mean, validation is the perfect word to describe it.
Oh man. So I was able to just, she let me know that it was okay, whatever journey I wanted to to go. Like, she's like, okay, you don't want to believe in God? Let's talk about that. Okay, this week you are a Christian. Let's talk about that.
Well, I was going to ask you how your faith has changed through all this. I mean, it's been a journey for sure.
Yes. I'm still discovering.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that I'm a universalist.
What is that?
Pretty much, I believe that all religions are connected. And I don't necessarily believe in a hell. I don't even know if there is an afterlife.
Yeah.
But if there is one, I truly believe that we're all going to be there. I just cannot believe in a God that sends his creation to hell.
Yeah.
I just refuse to accept that. So that's
So you've been working through all that with your therapist.
Absolutely. So just definitely working through that spiritual abuse, like changing how I see God, or even if I want to believe in God, we discussed that.
That's so amazing that you found someone like that.
Right. And I think she's Methodist, so
okay.
She goes to church, but she's just not about the shit either. So
that's even more impressive then.
Right. So it really has opened up my world, and I feel so much better. One of the things that I also struggle with because of Christianity is not feeling good enough.
Amen.
That's one of the things that I really hate about Christianity is I always felt like there was something more I had to work on. And, it's kind of like you're trying to run down a football field to get to the goal post or to the goal line. And once you get there, someone says, oh no, you still got 10 more yards to go.
Yep.
And then it's another 10 yards. And that's how I felt. It's like, I'm not good enough. And then it's like in that system oh, do I fit in? Am I cool enough now to be a leader in the church? And
what do you mean by that?
I feel like now it's like you see the celebrity pastors and how they dress, and they all got all these cool friends and cool clothes. And yeah. I feel like that's kind of this movement Christianity's heading into, where you have to be a certain way to reach people.
They're all rich white people. I mean,
right.
I mean, just from what I've seen on TV, like I try to shut that out now.
Yeah. How? Let me ask you something, because I know you seem like you've done a great job, like trying to separate yourself from it. And I have issues with that. And I don't know if it's because I'm in a small town, but how have you been able to separate?
I moved across the country. It was very impulsive. And I literally separated myself as far as I could from my family, really, and from all of that stuff. And it definitely works in separating yourself from it, but also I don't know, you tear yourself away so fast you can't really you don't have time to heal. And so I still deal with a lot of that shit. I just kind of am able to shut it out because, there's not a lot of that around here.
Right.
And I miss my family. I think I was too quick to like go super far away, and I think it's all about balance, like you said.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean,
No one does.
yeah, no one does.
No
People
one
suck.
does.
No one knows what they're doing.
No one knows.
So yeah, I am like I separate myself from that stuff, but mentally a lot of it is still I'm struggling with it still, and I think I will be for a long time, and that's why
Right.
therapy is so important. Like what we went
Right.
through was trauma, and I don't always feel validated when I talk about it, but we were messed up.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just like,
It's so like hard to talk about, especially with people that didn't grow around churches.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's been my issue here in Seattle.
Right.
A
It's
lot of people didn't go to church growing up, which for me is weird. Like, you heathens? Like, what did you do on Sunday?
Sundays
When did you wear your fancy church clothes? Like, what?
on Saturday nights.
I know. I have so many questions.
I don't even know what that life is like not to.
Like, what do you sing at Christmas time?
Right.
Like,
Everything evolved around church.
yeah. And I do feel like there's a void in my life. Like, I do have some good
Absolutely.
memory. Like you said, you really did love it when you were in it. And I have some great memories from church. I love the community. It was nice to have somewhere to be and have people who supported you or, didn't support you, but, the community. And now, it's hard to find community as an adult.
Yeah, that's
So,
very true. That's so true.
how have you restructured your community like since you decided to leave the church?
It's been tough, and I'll admit that. I do have like a best friend here in the small town that I'm in, but most of my friendships are either most of them are out of the state.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's a lot of phone calls and
Well, especially now, right?
FaceTiming. Right, right. My girlfriend lives 4 hours away, so I'm not really around her as much either,
How
which
long
is
have you guys
hard as
been
well.
dating?
Maybe like it's been over a year. We did take a little break around the time my friend passed, but
Hmm. Okay, so it was the same person.
right, it's the same person.
Oh,
So,
what's she like?
oh, she's great. She's so sweet, but she's got a little.
Little
She's a
kick.
little firecracker, yeah. So that's exactly how I like my women. So
So you've met your match, is what
right,
you're saying.
yeah,
4 hours though, that's a long ways away.
yeah. It
It's not
really is,
easy.
but when you love someone, you make those sacrifices. So
Totally.
uh,
So you feel like the connections you have, they might not be a lot, but it sounds like they're definitely more supportive and genuine.
right, absolutely. I really do have some great friends. I really, man, I don't feel alone
That's good.
because I know they're there.
Mhm.
I just live in a small town where there's shit to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's value to having friends scattered all over too.
But I also love being alone. I live by myself. I
Yeah.
love it. Like
Same. It's great.
it's just me and my dog Nora, and we're fine.
How have you been coping this year?
Oh man, this year has been tough. I think this year has not been questioning my beliefs. It's been questioning humanity altogether.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
like why have we not evolved? Why are we still holding on to past beliefs? Why are we not wanting to wear a mask? Like,
Yes. Say it again.
you know, I these are the questions that I have, and I'm just like, are we just gonna destroy each other?
Yeah, I mean, we're on our way.
It seems like it. So that's really what I've been struggling with this year. And then on top of that, I've been sick like probably 90% of the time this year.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I started in February. I had kind of the flu, and then mid-March I got pneumonia.
Oh shit.
1st of April. Oh, it keeps going.
Oh.
1st of April, I started having like sharp chest pains, and they said quotation marks, it was pleurisy. So they gave me a bunch of shots for that. I felt fine for 2 weeks. The end of April, I'm short of breath.
Did you die of COVID?
No.
Am I speaking with a ghost?
First of all, that would be awesome.
Oh no! Oh dear, this
would be amazing.
This podcast is such a bummer, dude. I love it. I'm just kidding. You're a ray of sunshine.
So I'm short of breath. I can barely walk to the bathroom, and I'm like, Mom, I gotta go to the doctor. I don't feel good. I need to go. So Monday, I go to the doctor. Of course, they test me for COVID again, which is my 3rd test, by the way.
Oh my God.
And so he's like, okay, you have pneumonia again. I'm like, oh my God, not fucking again.
Oh,
and then he's like, okay, we're going to check for clots.
That sounds serious.
Oh, yeah. So end up, I have 3 to 4 clots in my chest and 1 behind my knee. And I'm rushed to the emergency room the next day.
Oh my God. How does that happen? Like, how do you get pneumonia twice and get all these clots? Like, I mean, obviously, I that sucks. I'm sorry it happened to you. Are you okay now?
Oh, I'm great now. Like, finally, I'm great. But I was in the ICU. I was in COVID ICU, by the way, for a week.
Holy shit. So if you didn't have COVID going in, you got it going out. Basically. Oh man, that's so fucked up.
Wait, so I get in the ICU, like my blood pressure was really bad. So I had probably, once I finally got in my room, my blood pressure was still probably like 190 over 130. So it was bad.
Yeah, I don't know what those numbers mean.
Your blood pressure is supposed to be under 120.
Oh shit.
Over like, yeah. So
it was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. My oxygen level was in the 80s. And so the doctor, he comes in there and he's saying, hey, we may have to put you on the vent. And I told him, I said, no, you are not putting me on the vent.
Yeah. Fuck that.
I said, I don't have COVID. And he just looked at me and he
oh my God.
He looks at me and he says, well, you know that you can die if this does not get better. And I said, well, that's just a consequence I will die for.
No, you did not. Did you really
yes.
say that to him? Oh my God. You're my hero.
Like, I was just like, nope, I'm not doing it. And so, I finally get better. He comes back around like Saturday. He apologizes to me.
Good.
And he's just like, I'm really sorry. I wanted you to get on the vent. I'm so happy you're doing better.
All right.
But yes, it's been such a long year.
That's a lot. That's a lot for anyone to deal with.
Yes.
Do you feel like you have enough support in your life right now?
I do.
Like, how have you been coping?
Oh man, with
just your mental health.
It's the ICU thing was, at the time, I didn't have time to be scared because it was literally like, oh, I'm trying to live, so let me do everything I need to do while I'm in here. But after I got out, it was hard.
You were scared
And
that you got it?
oh, I was absolutely scared.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of PTSD, which honestly, I'm just now getting over the PTSD, and I'm finally able to like go to sleep regularly now.
Nice.
Um, it's been really hard. Like when I got at the doctor, I was checking like my oxygen saturation like every hour.
Yeah.
Like I was just so freaked out, and with clots and stuff, you can't smoke, so I didn't have anything to really,
To quell that
you know,
anxiety.
right.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So,
I would just be like, I'm dying. You know, I'm give me my drugs. Everyone's dying anyway.
oh geez.
I don't
So
know.
yeah,
This year, you'd think, everyone would be suicidal, but I feel like,
right,
I don't know. There's an appreciation for life too that I am
right,
feeling very intensely these days. That's weird.
right.
I don't
Damn, we've
know.
seen so much death this year. We're just happy to still be here.
Right?
It's been a hard year, and it's not just for me. I know it's for everybody. Everyone's going through it, and uh,
So the year is halfway over. Over halfway over. That's
right.
fucking crazy. Like, what are your goals moving forward? Like, survival strategy, I guess.
I was just about to say my goal is to survive.
Yeah. As I was saying that, I hated myself. It's just like, okay. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
It's true though.
what have you learned from the first half of the year that you were going to carry with
Oh
you into the
God.
second half? Or like observations you've made? I don't know. I mean, people
Oh
suck.
man.
That's
People
a big
suck.
one.
That's definitely one.
I guess
Whew,
how is that going to change how you live, moving forward?
man, I think appreciating the people that's around you, like
Yeah.
that's one of the things that. Oh man, when I was in the ICU, like people really were concerned, and like if I ever thought that I was alone, that week showed me that I wasn't.
Wow.
Like just so many people checking up on me, asking my mom for updates.
And I think
So
that it sounds like that's been a theme in your life. Like you have had some really supportive people through all the shit you've been dealing with. And like who knows how
right,
much worse it could have been if you didn't.
right, and I've lost some people too. I mean, I
Yeah.
have, and that sucks. But like I said, in life, I'm learning that the people that should be around you will be around you. Like
Yeah.
I feel like the universe sends you the people you need at the right time. Oh, I really do feel that way. People can say it's God, you can say it's the universe, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
life, life is such a journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that this is a hard time. But if we live, pretty much, I'm just saying this too shall pass. Like,
Yeah.
like it's gonna pass. We gotta stay safe.
Appreciate the people around you.
Appreciate the people around
Be
you.
picky about the people around you.
Right. Live. Like, I remember going to the ICU and I was just like, I'm not ready to die. Like, and I said, oh my gosh, like, it made me realize how much I had to live for. I'm like, man, I'm
Wow.
in love. Like, I'm finally able to control my own life.
Oh,
Like, I have
I got
great friends.
chills.
I have a great life. Like,
Yeah. When you
I'm
when you
not ready.
state the facts like that, like it makes you realize, like, oh, I have a lot to live for,
Right.
and it sucks that it took such a big
Right.
event to get there, but you got there, and I think that's valuable.
Absolutely. So, man, the one thing that I'm trying not to, and I have to really work on this, is not let what I see on social media and like people that I grew up with that are racist, or
Mm.
I'm trying not to let that affect me and like bring down my energy.
when it comes to blocking people, like, what's your view on that? Because I know some people just block everyone who disagrees with them. You seem to have you're really good about having conversations with people, like in the comments. Like, it seems like you try to see different points of view or like have a debate. But, people suck, as we've established. So you can't reason with some people. So, like, how have you been dealing with those hateful people in your social media?
Oh man. I feel like I get blocked more than I block people, by the way. But I love hearing people's perspectives. Now, I do have boundaries that you will not cross on my page. And number one, you will not be homophobic. And number two, you cannot just you better not. I better not see you calling someone the N word or anything like that.
You have people like that on your feed?
Not this year.
Oh my god!
I have before, and that's when the block happened. But
it's just so sad to me that, I mean, the people, like, these are people we're friends with at one point.
Absolutely.
We both come from that sort of background, so it could have been us,
Right.
Like, why were we the ones that had awakenings? Like, we could have easily still be in the bubble.
Right. It's so weird though, because I have people message me and be like, "How are you friends with that person?" And I'm like, "I didn't know they were like that."
Yeah. That's
like,
so true.
I'm sorry, I did not know. Like, I didn't know. But there's also people that I don't have the same belief system as, or they're Republican, and I know 100% that if I'm got a flat tire in the middle of nowhere, I can call them and they'll come and help me. Like, so, and a lot of people don't even know the reason they believe anything. Not saying that's an excuse.
Well, it's ignorance, right?
Right. Don't do any research. They only know mom and dad love Fox News. They've never heard that, hey, maybe I can read the Bible a different way. Maybe this story isn't real. Maybe it's just something that I can learn from. A lot of people just have not been taught to critically think.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I can't say anything else but that.
And that's what we're seeing. Oh man, and we're seeing it so much, and unfortunately, because of that, we elected narcissists, and
Yep.
And that's a lot to talk about there, but
I know. Do you feel like there's going to be more awakenings? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, moving, like, you can do two things. You can keep trying to educate them, or you can just kind of like be like, this isn't my job. I don't have the energy for this. Like, are you feeling more hopeful right now, or like?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know.
It depends. Like, on some things, I'm like, dude, you just gonna have to get a book. Yeah. I'm not about to explain all this. Yep. I can give you some resources, but that's it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't, right?
I mean, they're rejecting science itself.
Oh, man.
Like, you cannot argue with science to someone who doesn't believe in science. Which is crazy to me, how you cannot believe in science.
Right, when it was a subject in school.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast episode.
Oh my gosh, it is, right? And I honestly almost think it's a cult. Like, I don't understand why people still put up with Trump's shit.
I don't either. I mean, a lot of people agree with certain policies, I guess. Like, I'm thinking of, like, pro-life people in particular. Right. I don't know. It's been a while since I even tried to put myself in their perspective, to be honest.
It's really hard to put myself in their perspective, too.
So how are you going to take care of yourself? What are some good self-care tips that you've learned from this year?
Boundaries. Definitely boundaries. Learning that no matter what I say, some people will not change their opinion. They won't change their perspective, and that's not my fault. it may not be what I'm supposed to do. Maybe someone else will get to that person, or maybe they just won't change.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. It sucks if we love the person to admit that maybe they just won't change, but maybe they're thinking the same thing about you, you know?
And they
That
probably
key
are.
person, she's just never going to change. She's never going to see the light. I know people say that about me.
Oh, I'm sure. Me too.
But, like, that's no, you know, we don't have to worry about it. That's not our job.
Right. And I think there are times where you can meet in the middle, but there are some things that you have to pick a side. And I feel like right now, especially with like the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, like you,
how could you possibly side with
right,
the like? I mean, it's ignorance. Ignorance at best.
Right.
And that's being generous.
Right. You're either for me or you're against me at this point. Like,
yeah.
I just need to know so I can act accordingly. And I can block you, delete you. We can go our separate ways.
So would you say boundaries and, you know...
For me, it's been boundaries. Number 2 is, like you said, picking my battles has definitely been a huge thing for me this year. If I cannot solve it, I'm not going to waste my energy on it. Or if there's not anything I can do to help the situation, of course, like, there's not much I can do as far as, like, the Breonna Taylor, but I can call.
Yeah.
I can post stuff on social media and get awareness out there. But as far as, like, my daily life and the things that I can't control or there's not a solution for, I'm trying my best not to worry about that.
That's really hard when you
when
you are aware of, you know, social justice discrepancies and like all the tragic things that are happening everywhere. It's really hard to accept your limitations and recognize when you've done all you can.
Right.
And step away for your own mental health, but that's really hard.
It's so hard, and I think a lot of people probably like feel some guilt because when I got out the ICU, I pretty much could not do anything. And that was right around the time protests started happening.
Oh,
and
wow.
I felt so much guilt that I couldn't be a part of it.
I mean, I understand why, but also you're lying in bed with blood clots, fucking pneumonia,
right?
COVID germs all over you. You should not be protesting.
I know.
No, but I totally get the guilt, just the helplessness.
Right, and I'm so that person where I'm just like, my ancestors did it. How dare me not do it? Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm so extreme when it comes to that type of stuff, and so I had to learn, like, okay, you cannot protest, but there's other things you can do. You can, you know, give money to bail funds. You can post things on social media. So
yeah,
having to learn, and I think this is for all of us, learning to rest.
Amen. Live to fight another day.
Right. Mentally rest, too.
Totally.
Gosh, that's hard.
Yeah.
But, yeah, mentally rest and try to keep a positive attitude, which is extremely hard for me because I'm such a realist. You know, my girlfriend tells me all the time, babe, just be hopeful for one time. Like, why you gotta go to the negative? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm working on it.
Have you seen the world? I mean, it's like you said, it's all about balance. It comes down to balance. But when you were raised in such an extreme, you know, environment, balance is something that's not a thing. Like, it's either one way or the other. There's no in between.
Exactly.
It's so many extremes. So I think learning to forgive yourself and go easier on yourself and embracing those gray areas is a hard thing. And
let me ask you this, because you just said learning to forgive yourself. I remember when I was coming out of like deconstruction, like I was going through deconstruction, And I started realizing how not prejudiced I was towards certain people, or how I
Mm-hmm.
thought people that did certain things were, sinful or just not of Christ, or,
Yeah.
all the wordings. And I felt so much guilt
For judging
after
them?
for
Yeah.
realizing it.
I think all you can do is acknowledge it and try to be better.
Right. Did you feel guilty about some of that? Because I had to deal with that a lot, just forgiving myself and
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't come out as a non believer until I was 22. I really tried super hard to be a good Christian. It just wasn't meant to be. But I mean, for me, the doubt started manifesting itself when I started judging my non-believing friends and asking myself, like, why do I care if, Fred smokes weed, or like,
right,
they're having sex before marriage? Like, why am I judging them so hard? Just like, what?
right.
Starting to ask myself why I was feeling certain ways towards people. And it's a process.
It
I feel like
really
I'll
is.
always be fighting against those prejudices in my head. And that in turn makes me feel guilty. Like you were
Right.
saying, it's just like a cycle that it's really hard to break out of. But I mean, if I had
Yeah.
any advice, it would just be keep acknowledging it and just try to be a little bit better.
Right.
Like, and doing what you can, like you said, just even if it's small, just do what you can and live to fight another day.
I think that's the beautiful thing about getting out of religion is you have so much more grace for yourself.
Totally, which is ironic, right? Oh,
Oh wow.
grace is like a trigger word now. Just kidding.
Right. Gosh.
But
Like
yeah, it's even just relearning language, like learning to associate words like grace with positive things.
you're right.
I'm
Oh
really
man.
proud of us.
Me too.
We're just gonna keep getting better.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's so crazy how you realize that you haven't been living life and now you are. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think back to the way I used to be. I'm just like, damn, I've changed so much. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, right? To be able to look back and
right.
say you've changed. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the same person I was 9 years ago.
Right. Oh, me either.
Oh,
Good Lord, no.
and maybe all the changes won't be as dramatic as they've been in the last decade. But
That's right.
I
That's
mean,
right.
I'm so proud of you though for like all the everything you've gone through and the person you are now. You're just a really great role model, and that includes your imperfections. You're very
Right.
transparent, and I love that. It
Oh,
so I really appreciate you.
well, I appreciate you too, and I want to catch up some more.
Oh, for
Like, I don't
real?
know, if I can like book another session, but
Yeah, no, dude, I am free anytime. Also, I love that you said book another session like I'm a therapist or something. Shit, should I be charging for this? If the next 6 months are anything like the last, then I'm gonna have you back on here and we're gonna rant.
yeah, just talk about shit we're upset about.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like fun to me.
Oh my gosh, if Trump wins again in November, I'm just gonna go
Oh,
under a rock.
I'm drinking again if he wins. I told my boyfriend, I was like, election night, I might have a beer. Don't judge me. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, it's
so you're sober?
yeah. I mean, I smoke weed and stuff. I don't really
Yeah.
call myself sober, but I don't drink anymore.
Okay.
It just
Okay.
makes me suicidal and
Okay.
crazy. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything for me. But maybe in the future I might. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but right now I don't drink.
Okay. Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add before we say goodbye?
I don't think so.
We covered a lot. This was a meaty
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
I feel like people are just going to be like, their emotions are going to be stripped raw after this. They're going to be like, what the fuck did I just listen to? And what am I supposed to do now?
Oh no.
I love you so
people
much.
Ain't shit.
Yeah.
But value the people that's around you.
Basically, yeah. Invite them on your podcast and, get angry together.
Oh man.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Key. I miss you so much. And this was so good. This was so good. We should do it again.
Yes, please.
All right, girl. Have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.